Hey, so I thought about a couple of things after I had recorded that I neglected to add. Um, so one of the things that we do in the techniques, um, going back with this one right here, right? So the counter grab. So one of the things that in several forms you might notice in some of the applications that I put in. Um, that we use, for example, in Small Tiger, when I punch and I put my hand up top and I pull down to chop. In some of the applications that we use, I punch and I grab. So a person blocks my arm and I grab, and I'm using my stance and the shuffle to pull them with me, and this arm locks the opponent's arm across my chest, and this arm comes down to lock it. You know what I mean? Lock it or break the elbow. There's also, in the event my hand gets grabbed, right? So, for example, let's say I have my right hand in front, and opponent grabs my hand. So, of course, I could do one of the other arm breaks, but I'm sorry, grab releases. But in the event, and just in case, the opponent, because you rarely will they just grab and hold on to you, they'll grab and punch, or sometimes they might just grab and try to pull. So what I do is to counter that, when my hand is grabbed, I step back, right? So by stepping back and using the weight, the force of my stance shifting back pulls him off balance. If I have a strong grab, he's coming with me. If there was a punch, that punch would get stopped by my pull. So now we have in Small Tiger this chopping down, but opponent grabs my hand, I counter grab, boom. And then I hit him with the knife hand strike while pulling him and using my stance to pull him off balance. So, piggybacking on that application, in this technique, so I grab the opponent's hand, strike, and then punch. The opponent, if they were to block my wrist and grab it, I would either counter grab and yank it out of the way, right? That's one. So the opponent grabs my wrist, or I grab him, but when I grab him, I yank it, which pulls him off balance, boom, and then I come right back. So after my punch, it's blocked, grabbed, and yanked, and then followed up with a hook, or the opponent grabs my wrist. I can either counter grab and pull, or I can just yank my arm down. If he's holding on tight, he'll come with me, boom, and I come right back. Keep in mind, where's the thing? Oh, keep in mind that anytime I throw a hook, I can also change it at close range, because remember, I just pulled him in. He might be too close for a hook. So I've just pulled him in, I can come back with an elbow. So now, we're gonna travel a little bit. So now I come down from the punch, I knock his hand out the way, and then I come back with an elbow instead of a hook. Some people might say that's doing too much, but remember, we mix and match. Is the elbow not in the Jiao Ga system, right? So same technique can be turned into close range. Okay, so speaking of close range, this. So what happens is, where was I? So I guess a lot of people do it this way, right? Right there. So another way of practicing, anytime the hand comes through and this hand comes up, this hand could either be used to check his other hands. Got two hands, I knock this one out, I got to look out for that one. This hand covers that. That's one. At close range, I knock his hand down, and then now I hit him with a palm strike instead of a check. Let's say he was getting ready to throw a punch with the other hand. This palm reaches for this shoulder, boom, to stop that hand. That's another application. So now he's got his left foot in front. I got my right hand in front. He throws a punch. I block. I check the other hand. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a hook. So now I block, check the other shoulder, and hook. That's one. I block, hit him in the face with this, and then hook. That's another. 1, 2. And then there's also the block and punch. There's a block and punch, but then there's also block and palm strike, pop him in the face, and then punch, right? Or knock his hand down, hook, pop him in the face, and then punch. So it doesn't necessarily have to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever. You know, so we can actually substitute in what we need to make the technique more effective. And don't forget that other hand. We do have a left hand. So I know in Jiao Ga techniques, Jiao Ga is an overwhelmingly right hand style. If you go back, review Small Tiger, review I don't know, Big Tiger, any of them, review any of them, you'll notice there are many things that are not done on both sides. They might be done facing both sides, but they'll be done with this hand. This hand right here is always a backup to this one, but it doesn't have to have a dead roll. In the Filipino martial arts, we call this Bantay Kamay. Bantay means like it's alive, you know. So we call the other hand the alive hand, where some people it's just kind of, this hand is just kind of sitting there, right, while this hand does all the work. But here, this hand is, you know, actively pushing, grabbing, checking, things like that, covering, stuff like that. So work it in where you can. But anyway, going back to this technique, so where was I? So in Chai Jong, 1, 2, right, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can slip these in wherever you can, right? And if you link them together in short little bursts, maybe 2, 3 strikes at a time, practice them over and over and over again. When you get to the point that you're sparring, you don't have to dance back and forth and box like most guys. Most guys doing martial arts, they practice one set of techniques when they do their forms, and then when they spar, they drop everything except for the jab, cross, hook, uppercut. You know what I'm saying? So piece these things together and group them together. Even, you know, vary it a little bit. Substitute one technique for another. Substitute the footwork like we were doing last week with small hung fists with the footwork. Doing that will give you a nice little arsenal of techniques that you can use. And then when you jump in there with a karate guy, a boxer, kickboxing guy, MMA guy, you're gonna eat them up, because MMA, Muay Thai, Kung Fu people who do Sanda, Jikendo people, Taekwondo people, karate guys, when it comes to their hands, they all do the same shit. You know what I'm saying? So if you're coming in there checking and sweeping and, you know, stuff like that, they're going to be like lost, because those guys have a very small number of techniques they work with, even though they might work with them high numbers. All we have to do is bring what we have in Jiao Ga, put them together in high numbers and train them in high numbers, many different variations. I mean, hell, you might even fight another Kung Fu guy and he'd be wondering where this crap is coming from. You know what I'm saying? So link them together and do that. That's why I say do that 500. Get that 500 so that they're instinctive. A punch comes, most people see a punch and they jump back and they do one of these numbers. Where you're now coming in. If they throw a punch at you, that's an opportunity for you to, and if you've done them enough times, these things come out natural. And like I said, your opponents, I mean, if you use traditional Kung Fu in a fighting situation against guys that are used to just boxing, kickboxing, doing things the same way, they all fight the same way. All those guys fight the same way. You bring this stuff in, you're gonna eat them up. You know what I'm saying? You may not eat them up in the beginning, but keep it going and you will eat them up. It's just that unfortunately, there's so few Kung Fu guys that have enough, bayag, have enough balls to get out there and do that. But if both you guys are out there doing it, man, bring it. You know what I'm saying? And then of course, review the video to see yourself, so you know whether you use it or not. But yeah. So Chaizhong has a lot of good stuff in it. You know what I'm saying? So just I'll do more videos on other things that are in it. But yeah. So anyway, that was pretty much all I had. All right, I'm starting to ramble. Talk to you guys later. Peace.